So yeah, your boy is drinking the Kool-Aid, as you can see, and yeah, I think we are in the title race. I have to say it now. I made a couple of promises in people's DMs, and you know what? I'm going to stick to those promises. I said if Manchester United was still top of the league after Anfield, I'd say we're in a title race. We drew at Anfield, and I was like, we beat Fulham. We beat Fulham. We won the follow-up game after Anfield, and now we're in a title race. I have to say we're in a title race. But other than that, man, I don't really know what else to say. Let's talk about the Fulham game. Poor Pogba, magnificent performance. Personally, my man of the match was Edison Cavani, because I did say Edison Cavani should start in this game for these kinds of reasons. I think if you give Edison Cavani one chance and you give Anthony Martial one chance, Edison Cavani is more likely to score. That's not because Anthony Martial is a terrible player. It's not because Anthony Martial is not a proper number 9. It's not because Anthony Martial is a hold-up merchant. No, it's because Anthony Martial at the moment is struggling for form going forward. And this season, he's not really playing in his proper position as much. He's playing a lot out on the left wing. For whatever weird reason, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is playing him out on the left wing. He is the manager and he is top of the league. So for me, he has earned the right to make decisions like dropping Eric Bailly on the weekend and getting a clean sheet against Liverpool. He's earned the right to start Edison Cavani in the middle and play Martial out on the left wing, as long as it results in us winning a game against Fulham. A pivotal game. For me, I'm no longer going to complain about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's team selections for the rest of the season unless it gets extremely bad. And by extremely bad, we go in a 5 to 10 game, anything between 5 and 10 games of a bad run where we could have won and we should have won if we had set up a little bit differently. For me, yesterday, Rashford coming on a bit late. I thought Rashford should have come on a little bit sooner. I think Mason Greenwood is struggling at the moment. He is definitely struggling, and it's justified. It's justified. I mean, he lost a friend to suicide this year. Lockdown is having a different impact on everybody. Mental health don't discriminate, whether you're a footballer, whether you're an actor, whether you clean toilets, whether, whatever your job is, lockdown doesn't discriminate. And a lot of these footballers, these young footballers, don't have experience. Well, most footballers don't have experience with this kind of thing because we're all new to this pandemic lifestyle. But more importantly, young footballers don't have experience with all the social media and having to stay at home and be in that world, because they're just human beings, fam. They have to sit on their phones and pass time as well, They can't just go out and do whatever the hell they want, especially Mason Greenwood. After getting kicked out of the England squad for breaking lockdown rules, you'd think that he isn't going to flog it as much over the next few months, or a few months following that. And it wasn't that long ago if you really think about it. I know it was last year and stuff, but relative to where we are now as a club and where England are, it wasn't that long ago, and I don't think he's getting selected anytime soon, So you have to keep that in mind with Mason Greenwood, plus the fact that he's young and he's inconsistent on the field, as I've always said on the show. I'm not surprised that he's struggling at the moment, and I think, look, I was excited to see him on the team sheet. I genuinely was, and I do want to see him play games, because I think that's what will help him get out of this bad mental space, is playing games for Manchester United. But I don't want to see him starting games that we need to win. I want to see him play in the cup games that aren't important or aren't as important as the title race. Play him in those cup games, those games against Watford, those games against Anfield on Sunday or Saturday, whenever it is, in the FA Cup, the cup that we don't care about as United fans. Play people like Mason Greenwood, fam. Don't wait there. But anyways, moving on, this isn't the Mason Greenwood show, okay? I think Eric Bailly... Questions need to be asked. Questions need to be asked of Eric Glass-Thighs Bailly on yesterday's goal. I know it was Wan-Bissaka's fault. But the defensive cover and the lack of communication in that back four is what cost us that goal. Now, it doesn't matter because we won the game, but on another day, we look back at that error and we say, wow, we lost another game of football, or wow, we drew another game of football because of individual brilliance, or individual errors, a lack of individual brilliance. So for me, questions need to be asked, and I'm not going to go in on Eric Bailly. I think he had a good game, bar the mistake. I'm not going to go in on Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I think he had a good game, bar the mistake. I think if you hate Aaron Wan-Bissaka, you think he had a bad game yesterday. If you like Aaron Wan-Bissaka, you think he had a good game yesterday. If you're objective about it, you can say that Aaron Wan-Bissaka hasn't been quite the same player this season. He's not awful. Don't get me wrong, he's not awful, but a lot of his performances this season have been between average and just good. Nothing more. Not great, not phenomenal, just average or good, and I think yesterday he was all right, man. He was all right. He didn't have a bad game, and that mistake certainly doesn't help his resume at Manchester United. I think Aaron Wan-Bissaka is playing like a player who is not being pushed out of his position. He's playing like a player who has no competition at the moment, if you had to ask me as a Manchester United fan. And can you blame him? Because Manchester United will not sign they will not sign anyone who's beneficial to this team in January. You know, they just won't do it. Our board is just so incompetent sometimes as a Manchester United fan. It makes you want to cry. And if we weren't top of the league, who knows how negative our fans would be about the transfer window right now. But, you know, moving on to other areas of the pitch, Luke Shaw is potential candidate for man of the match. Now, my man of the match is obviously Edison Cavani. I know some of you guys, your man of the match will be Pogba, but Luke Shaw was absolutely magnificent yesterday. Luke Shaw has been magnificent for a while now for Manchester United. He's been so consistent. Last season, he had a magnificent season when Brandon Williams was pushing for his position. This season, when Alex Telles is pushing for his position, he's been great. 2017, 2016, he was great. And it's the evolution of Luke Shaw that I am loving at Manchester United, because he is no longer just a defensive fullback. He is no longer the one-dimensional Luke Shaw who can only do one. His crosses into the box and corners have been pretty decent lately as well. I don't know if you guys have noticed that, but Luke Shaw's been taking a lot of corners lately, and he's been okay. He's been quite decent at it, actually. So he has got a cross on him. He can take a set piece. And this is a player here that I think is a very useful player for Manchester United, and I do not want us to let go of. Even though he has his injury problems, that's what Telles is here for. I think you've got to keep someone like Luke Shaw at the club. You've got to keep someone like Luke Shaw. But moving on into the midfield and into the attack, of course, I've already spoken extensively about Mason Greenwood, so I won't touch on him. I want to talk a bit about Anthony Martial. I think Anthony Martial on the left wing is an interesting thing. I've never been a fan of him playing out on the left wing, but like I said, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has earned the right to pick whatever team he wants now because we're top of the league. And I look at Anthony Martial out on the left wing and I think to myself, yeah, he's got the ability to get past the man. Yeah, he's really good at link-up play. But does playing out on that left-hand side and being isolated on the flank really give him an opportunity to exploit some of the things that make him the player that a lot of people in Martial FC say he is? I don't really know, fam. A lot of people have mixed opinions about Martial at the moment. A lot of people are saying that he's actually playing well on the left wing. I personally don't see it, fam. I personally don't see it. And I think he's been all right. And yesterday, you could argue that he had quite a good game. But for me, he was very, very quiet, bar, few moments that I can count on one hand. He was very, very quiet. And I just don't know where I am with Anthony Martial at the moment. I honestly think he should be coming off the bench for Cavani. That's just my honest opinion, because I think Martial should be a striker, and if a striker's not scoring goals, you get another striker in who's going to score goals, and you bring him on in the second half for a bit of confidence, and don't bring him on for the last 5 minutes. Bring him on for a solid 20, 25 minutes, half an hour maybe at the end of the game. That's what I think Anthony Martial needs. He needs fresh legs against a tired defense where he can just absolutely run the show and finish. Imagine if yesterday against Fulham we were 2-1 up and Martial comes on with half an hour to go and he scores a goal and makes it 3-1 because he's still fresh and rearing to go. He was getting very frustrated with Luke Shaw a lot, but I think it's a bit unjustified. There was a moment where he got frustrated at Luke Shaw for not making the run or the overlap or whatever it is. Yeah. For me, that moment sums up Martial as a player at the moment. I think there's a lot of frustration going on in his head, and he's just not in the right headspace at the moment. I don't know what's going on with Anthony Martial. I don't know what's going on. Besides a lack of confidence and a lack of form in the forward positions, I don't know what's eating him up inside. And I think it's got to do with more than just football, but you never know. You never know with the times we live in. Anyways, moving on, the midfield. Paul Pogba was magnificent yesterday. I thought defensively him and Fred were very, very shaky. Defensively him and Fred offer no cover whatsoever. But I said this on the preview. I didn't predict that Fred would play. I predicted Matic would play, but I said that if Matic and Pogba play, basically if anyone other than McFred plays and Bailey plays behind them, we're going to play a high line, which implies that we don't mind losing the ball in deep areas because we're going to spend most of our time in the opposition box. And that's exactly what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did. Against the smaller teams, he can set up for us to break teams down. He can set up for us to sit back, soak up the pressure and control the game. He can set up for us to just play purely on the counter, purely on transition. Every time we win the ball, just play a long ball over. Manchester United is not a one-dimensional team. It's not a one-dimensional team. For me, it's about how do we turn these plans against certain opposition into a long-term philosophy and have a consistent way of playing for at least 60 to 75% of our games. That's what it is about for me. But if we're top of the league, changing our formation every week and changing our team sheet every other game, I ain't going to complain, fam. I'm going to celebrate that title as shamelessly as any other Manchester United fan will. So, anyways, that about wraps up the show. That about wraps up the show for me. I think it was a magnificent game. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, for me, yesterday gets a 9 out of 10 because he got it absolutely spot on, and he's not to blame for the goal at all. I think it was individual errors there, and Wan-Bissaka playing an offside man onside. So, let me know what you think in the comments down below of the game. It wasn't really the best analysis I've done on this channel, but for the smaller games, I kind of want to focus on individual players and talking points surrounding the team in these kinds of games, rather than talk about just the X's and O's and the tactics, because I think, what's the point, fam? It's Fulham. No disrespect to Fulham, but it's Fulham, you know. I enjoy talking about tactics more when it's an opposition where we expect to lose. But it's been your boy Triple M. Catch you in the next one. Peace.